As the nation waited for Harvey to make landfall in Texas last night, President Trump pardoned controversial former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio for a criminal contempt conviction. Obama Justice Department officials had sued him, and a judge had ordered him to stop detaining people based upon their suspected immigration status. Here's Sheriff Joe reacting on Hannity after receiving the news.
It's great. I love that president. He supports law enforcement, and I'm very humble. And I said publicly recently, pardon or no pardon, I will be with him to the end.
Joining me now to discuss is Fox News contributor and radio talk show host Richard Fowler, and editor of Town Hall and Fox News contributor Katie Pavlich. So, Katie, were you surprised that President Trump issued this pardon?
No, and nobody should be surprised. This is something he's telegraphed at his Phoenix rally he was going to do. We knew the paperwork was getting ready on Thursday, and we had it come out on Friday. This is not a surprise. And I find it interesting that, of course, the left is now arguing that the president is embracing racism and discrimination, when really the left has had a problem with Joe Arpaio all along, simply because he decided not to be a sanctuary county and to detain people suspected of illegal immigration, to turn them over to Border Patrol and ICE. That is their main issue here, and it shouldn't be looked over simply because of the pardon.
So, Richard, are you upset about the pardon because who he pardoned, or because you guys can't do anything about it?
Well, I think the president has the ability to pardon whoever he wants to, but this pardon is problematic for a number of reasons. For almost a decade, federal judges appointed by both Democrats and Republicans have warned Sheriff Arpaio about him profiling Hispanic individuals in Maricopa County for being illegals because of how they walk, because of how they look. He says they deemed them to be illegal. So he has profiled them. Many judges have said...
How do illegal aliens walk, Richard?
Well, yeah. you should ask Sheriff Arpaio that question.
Knows?
Well, because he's profiled them. You could ask numerous federal judges who said that. Okay. It's in court documents and court records.
I didn't know that you could walk like an illegal, but go ahead.
Well, you should ask the sheriff, and that is what racial profiling is, and that is why it's against our Fourth Amendment. Obviously, the president doesn't believe that, and many federal judges have said that is part of the problem here. This is not some sort of witch hunt by the Obama Justice Department.
Yes,
this is numerous federal judges, you could look at the court documents, have said that this sheriff has over and over and over again profiled Hispanic residents of Maricopa County.
Richard, hold on. Richard, before you finish, let me ask you, were you upset when President Obama commuted the sentence of a terrorist, a Puerto Rican terrorist who was responsible for the death of 4 Americans, multiple bombings?
Listen, like I said,
were you upset
presidents
by that?
have the ability to pardon.
No, answer the question, Richard. Were you upset by that?
Listen, I was upset about
because
that.
Because I didn't hear you on television talking a lot about it.
I actually did a segment with Martha McCallum. You could pull the tapes on that, Jesse.
What about when the president, the last president, commuted Chelsea Manning's sentence?
There we go. I talked about that as well. Pull
Huge
the tapes
traitor.
on that. But remember when he did that? He did it on the final days of his term, and he commuted a sentence. Commuting the sentence and pardoning are two completely different things. Commuting a sentence says you are wrong, and we're going to say you're going away for time served.
It's a technicality.
No, it's not a technicality. It's not a technicality. So
Katie, let me ask Katie, when Mark Rich was pardoned, I don't remember a lot of people being upset about that, especially because Mark Rich's wife donated to the Clinton Library.
Right. Well, hey, remember when Eric Holder was voted in criminal and civil contempt of Congress for running thousands of guns illegally to Mexico, which resulted in the murders of hundreds of Mexican citizens? Talk about discrimination, and the death of at least 1 Border Patrol agent. I remember that. And look, I come at this from a very personal standpoint. I lived in Arizona for the entire time when Joe Arpaio was sheriff of Maricopa County. I didn't live in his county, but illegal immigration affects every single county in Arizona, and I can tell you, I can count at least 10 people I know who were in car accidents with illegal immigrants driving without insurance, who were victims of crimes carried out by illegal immigrants. The reason why he had 6 terms as sheriff in that county is because he was doing something about illegal immigration and fighting for victims of crimes committed by illegals. So I understand that they've been trying to make this argument that he lost his election and therefore he's being discriminatory, but the reason why he was reelected so many times because he was fighting for people who were victims of crimes, and he was cooperating with the federal government to get them off of our streets while the Obama administration was releasing criminal aliens back onto them and into our communities.
All right, let's get to the next segment before we, Richard, respond. Hold on, no, Richard, we're going to get to the next part. Black Lives Matter, one of their leaders, put out a list. It was a request for white people. Here are some of them. Put black people in your will. Give your house to a black person. Share your income with a black person. And get a racist fired. So, Richard, I want to go to you. Black Lives Matter, this seems to be like reparations. Is this what you think Black Lives Matter should be focused on?
So I don't know this young lady, and I'm not sure if this is satirical or not, and I can't really comment.
She's one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter.
I don't think she's a leader of Black Lives Matter. I think she's happens to went to a Black Lives Matter program.
No, she's a co-founder.
No, she's not a co-founder of Black Lives Matter. She is a member of like the Pittsburgh chapter, and I don't think she speaks for the entire movement.
Well,
but back to Katie's
in Pittsburgh, she does.
Back to Katie's point on Sheriff Arpaio.
No, hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
We're going to this segment right now. We don't have time.
No, but there's some claims that she made that have went unanswered.
Okay,
the
Richard,
first
we
thing
can do it. We can do it next time. Richard, address this list.
I'm happy to talk about Black Lives Matter, but let me answer some points.
Richard, we have 30 seconds left in the block.
I will. Well, let me answer.
I'll talk about Black Lives Matter. Like,
Katie, go ahead.
That's the topic of this segment.
Katie, go ahead.
You know, to say that she's not a mainstream Black Lives Matter leader is not true. She absolutely is. And this
how are you going to say that? You don't know her.
It's listed in her own social media profiles and in her bio on this article.
So that means David Duke is a mainstream member of the Republican Party.
He doesn't say that.
No, he's not.
He does. He says that he's speaking. He wants to make America great again, and he has a "Make America Great Again" hat, so he represents the Trump movement.
I think we've completely gotten off the topic.
No, we didn't. You just said that she represents Black Lives Matter.
Richard, going back to the demands of Black Lives Matter, what they're asking, it's laughable, it's irresponsible, and it's not a way to unite the country to move forward.
He's laughable and irresponsible, and he wants to make America great again.
I don't have a house to give to anybody, black, white, Hispanic. I'm sorry, I'm staying in the house. Guys, I got to run. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Good to see you, Jesse.